Welcome to dinner party tonight at Macari Vineyard. And standing next to me is the winemaker himself, Byron Elmendorf.
Hello.
We're gonna go on a crazy journey today, finding out a little bit about how wine is made, and we might do some other stuff. Why are we here? Why are we here? Because of Germaine.
First day of harvest.
We're here, as Byron just said, named after a great poet, I'm presuming.
You are correct.
Okay. Anyways, we're here for the harvest, which is kind of a big day. It's when they bring in all the grapes and they start the beginning process of creating my favorite drink as a wine enthusiast. So Byron is going to take us through at Macari Vineyards, and then we might cook up a little something with Germaine.
All right, so we're in the winery block of Merlot. It's the oldest vineyard block on the property. It goes back to the late 80s. It always delivers beautiful, concentrated wine. Really, as you tasted, one of our best blocks of Merlot. We're still going through veraison here. So veraison is the term in French for when the grapes change color, when they go from green and sour, they color up if they're red, and then they start accumulating sugar.
And there's netting here because the birds eat them, right?
It's the customers, really. Yeah, but it's both. It's both. But it is primarily for the birds. Here, did you guys taste one of these berries? If you just get in here and grab a few berries. You know, when you taste this at this stage, it's really young, very tart, very peppery, right?
Mm-hmm. Spicy.
So, spicy and peppery, yeah. And as this berry matures and gets riper, it's obviously going to get sweeter. But a lot of those peppery notes start to subside and you start getting fruit notes, berry notes come up. So that's one of the things that we're monitoring as it's ripening.
I do.
Yeah.
Very tart.
Not there yet, huh?
Look at how beautiful this is.
Insane. It's beautiful.
Look at this. They have how many acres? 440 acres?
The property is, and then we have about 155
Growing
under
acres.
vine.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's breathtaking, and it's incredibly peaceful also.
Yeah, and the canopy this year is still in really good health, green,
See that.
clean.
Wow.
So that's important, and you can see that one of the important things that they do in here is that they've removed a lot of the leaves, so just to improve airflow down there.
Oh, it's amazing. It tastes almost like a spice.
Yeah, very spicy at this point.
Wow.
We look at the numbers, the acid numbers, the pH, and the sugar, but then we're also tasting the samples to see when the flavors start to change and
It's like a
round out.
huge responsibility.
So when do you think you'll pull these?
I'm guessing these will probably be early to mid-October.
But this is where the magic happens. Let's go back and see where it goes from here.
That's good.
Okay?
Let's do it.
Just one rotation.
One rotation, please. Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna turn everything off.
We're back.
So we're at Macari, right? So let's talk about how wine is made, right, Jermaine?
Let's talk about it.
And hopefully not get completely blotto, drunk, smashed, or plastered. We saw them bring in these big yellow carts full of grapes that actually taste amazingly sweet. And those are Pinot, which are called the diva or the prima donna,
Indeed, yeah.
because they're very tight.
Yeah, Pinot Noir gets its name from the cluster itself that resembles a pine cone. It's very small, very tight, very dense. It's pretty susceptible to mildew and problems in the vineyard, so that's why it has that reputation as being somewhat of a heartbreaker.
It's a little pitchy.
We pick it early for sparkling because we want low alcohol and we want lots of acid. So what you saw already, we got the press loaded, so all the grapes are inside there. There's a pneumatic bladder that's opening up and squeezing all the juice out. But particularly with sparkling, we're trying to press as gently as possible. The first juice to come out is the highest quality. It's got the most acid, the highest sugar.
First press.
The lightest color. We can taste some of it right now, actually.
Okay.
Let's get another glass so we don't toss out the good stuff.
Aha!
There you go.
It's absolutely superb. If you could buy that, I would buy that. Like an aperitif.
Yeah,
God, that's
people.
so
That's
good.
good. My palate loves it. It
It's
wants
delicious.
more.
This is 2016 sparkling Pinot that we're drinking. You're drinking champagne. But this is essentially that after 6 years aging on lees, which we'll explain. But this is superb. It's low alcohol, light, crisp, dry, amusing, funny, flirty. It's very, very good.
Yeah, this is the first day of the pick, so that's what we're shooting for again, is that acid and that freshness. The juice is now collecting in this sump, and then it gets gently pumped into a tank over here.
Okay, so then it comes in here, and then what happens?
Yeah, this is basically, after the pressing, this is the first stage that happens with almost all white grapes or grapes that get pressed immediately. The juice gets pumped into this. This is a settling tank. So you can see these cooling jackets are chilling it. We'll chill it down to close to 40 degrees. Only about 1 day, 24 hours, just to let some of the heavier solid material settle to the bottom of the tank. And then the next day, we'll rack that clarified juice into another tank where we'll start the fermentation.
Okay.
So from this tank, it'll make its way into the main fermentation hall.
Okay, so this is like the first, you're letting like some gunk settle.
Yeah, grape solids that come in from the press, basically.
So it's quite cold, actually. I was just taking another drink. So this is kind of the fermentation hall, and these are fermentation tanks, correct?
Yeah, these are stainless steel fermentation tanks. Following the settling tank, then we rack that clarified juice into one of these tanks, and then we do a couple different techniques depending on the wine that we're making and the style that we're trying to achieve. We will either inoculate with a
Put yeast.
culture of yeast.
Yeah.
We add that in, and that can give you a reliable fermentation with certain characteristics.
Which is what you would do in your home. If you were making wine or something, you would put yeast in it.
And then for certain other fermentations, we will basically just keep the juice cold. We'll keep it protected from air, and then we'll monitor it to see if it's going to start fermenting on its own. And once it starts fermenting on its own, then an ambient or a wild yeast has taken hold of it, and that fermentation will then run its course.
So, which is fascinating, and it's how the first alcohol was made. They didn't have packets of, Red Star
Yeah.
wine yeast. Okay, so
Over,
where does this yeast come from? It comes from all over the place, right?
Yeah, it's all over the place. It's in the vineyards, it's on the grapes, it's on the leaves.
It's on you.
It's on
Everybody.
us.
Yeah.
It's on all the walls in this room. It's on most of the equipment. So it comes, yes, literally all over the place. The other important byproduct of that conversion of sugar to alcohol is that they're respiring CO2, just like we breathe
Yes.
out CO2. And that CO2 is important because that's what's putting the bubbles in the wine that we're drinking right now.
So how do you prevent bubbles?
You basically just allow the wine to naturally off gas over time.
Okay.
Like if you leave a cup of soda outside on a sunny day, it goes flat.
So all wine starts sparkling?
Yeah, at the end of fermentation, all wines
I didn't know
have
that.
a
Yeah.
lot of CO2 in them.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's a stylistic choice as well. If you get it into bottle really early, you can keep a little bit of that freshness in there, like a Vinho Verde from Portugal, how they've got a little
I like
bit
Vinho
of
Verde.
little bubbliness.
But is there any way you can control the bitiness of the bubble, the size of the bubble?
Yeah, that's a lot of what we do with when you talked about actually leaving that on the lees for 6 years. The reason we're leaving it on the yeast cells for that long
Lees mean yeast.
is that gives you more finesse to what's called the perlage. So it lets the bubbles be finer and softer. If you take a wine and it's carbonated and it doesn't have that time to be exposed to the lees, it has a bubbliness more reminiscent of like a seltzer.
Interesting. So less lees, more perlage.
Finer perlage.
Finer
yeah.
perlage. Well, I will now refer to my Canada Dry Seltzer as having a good perlage or a bad perlage. That's pretty good information. I've had a little bit too much of this sparkling Pinot.
So
but-
I got something. So
Yes.
my grandmother used to take little grape packets, leave them in the window for like 2 months.
Grape packets, what's
Little
that?
like peanut butter and jelly, like a jelly.
Yes. Oh, I see.
And she left it in the window, hot heat, and
Yeah.
they
You
got
know-
drunk off it.
Do you know the name of that?
No,
It's called prison wine.
that's what it is. I didn't want to say prison, but that's basically how they did it.
In jail, they take, if they can, they take the fruit from the fruit cup, and they put it. That's how they make wine.
How do you know? Anyway,
But I'm not saying anything about your grandma. I'm saying that if you put a grape jam, it's going to turn into booze.
yes,
It will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was my point.
It's the yeast, natural yeast,
Yeah.
will ferment the jam. Now we're in the barrel room, which is cold. It's cold in here. Okay.
Feels good.
Yeah. And the wine comes from the fermentation tank, and then what happens?
Yeah, it depends. A lot of whites will come directly in here. For instance, Chardonnay that we barrel ferment, we will rack the juice into the barrels and ferment it in the barrels here
Immediately.
immediately.
Okay.
We keep an eye on it. Like you said, it's nice and cool, so that low temperature helps us keep that fermentation under control. A new barrel versus what's called an older or a neutral barrel.
Okay.
You can kind of think of it like a tea bag. If you seep it once or twice, you're still getting flavor, tannin from the tea bag, but by the third or fourth time, you're not getting a whole lot out
Yeah.
of it.
Oh, I seem to have finished my glass. But you know what Oh, Jermaine, how dare you? Now, I'll tell you something I've never done is I've never tasted in France. I've certainly been to Napa. I have never tasted wine from the barrel. Can we do that?
Now's your lucky day.
All right, let's do it. This is a big deal for me because I've never done this before. We have to use this rather unfortunate item to get the wine out of the barrel.
That's a great name, though. It's a thief.
It's a thief,
This is called a thief,
a wine thief.
Wine thief. It's perfect.
which will be inserted into the bung hole.
I actually,
This is the bung.
I
This is the
understand.
bung hole.
Yes.
Get used to it.
Cornholio.
Never gets old.
Finished.
So this is a neutral barrel. This is a Merlot from 2022.
It's an older barrel. The wine is, you mean?
Yeah, this is a 2022 vintage wine.
Wow.
So it's young.
Yes, still has about 6 months of time in the barrel.
So this is going to be very different than
From what
the
we
way
just-
they want it to be.
Right.
So we have to remember that.
Strong.
But yeah, 22 was an excellent vintage out here. You can see that it's got really beautiful, deep color.
Wow.
I'm
That's
going to
tasty.
tell you, man, you
That's
guys
tasty.
are not messing around out here.
Byron he's a scientist when it comes to the wine, man.
Well, like I said, 22 was a great year, so that makes it easy for me. It makes my job easy. But you get a lot of that fruit up front with the licorice, fennel.
And I usually do not like red wine, and this is very good.
This,
Black
It's
people
dr-
don't usually drink wine, and it's really good. You can cut that.
I love red wine. However, if it's high alcohol, I cannot drink it anymore.
Yeah, well, that's a beautiful thing about New York wine is
It's
that
low
we
ABV.
don't battle high alcohol.
So a lot of wines you'll get from California, God bless them, they have some of the greatest wines in the world, but some of them are 15% alcohol.
Wow.
Which is, it's too hot.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
for
too
reds, we rarely go above 13, and I think it just makes for a much more balanced, drinkable wine.
It's also, if you legitimately love the taste of wine, which I also, obviously I'm a wino, but I legitimately love the taste of wine, right? I don't necessarily want to get drunk all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'd like to have more than one glass. This is fantastic. I can't wait to see this when it comes
now
to
let's
life.
see
Okay.
what the impact of the barrel is, because now you're getting a lot of that fruit up in
Neutral, old, new. I'm learning a lot, Jermaine.
And so am I.
We're staying pretty sober.
Right. Well, we're doing our best.
So I'm gonna bring your glasses over here.
I'm sorry.
That's plenty. Jesus, Mary.
Trying to get us drunk.
Ooh, that's really different.
Wow. That is different.
Ah, it's fairer. It's like it's more feminine.
Oh, wow.
Wow, it's radically different.
Yeah, it really
Very
changes
different.
the profile.
More people need to know about Macari.
I'm telling you.
This is serious.
The oak, I mean, it does a lot of things, but so the oak itself, the wood is toasted at different levels.
That's
and
important.
that level of toast changes the flavors in the wood.
Wow.
So the toast brings out chemical compounds called lactones, among other things. Vanillin, which gives it a taste of vanilla. The whiskey
Yes.
lactone, it smells, you also get this like campfirey
Yeah.
aroma from that's the toasted, the ember on the wood.
Wow.
That's smooth as glass already.
Yeah, it's interesting because the tannins from the wood actually build the structure of the wine as well, but they can also polish it out and fill out the structure
course.
so that it seems smoother.
To be simplistic, if you don't drink wine, like tannins are like the like
The drying
the drying sensation in your mouth. That's a tannin. So when you drink a wine, you'll get also, after you swallow it, you'll get a sort of a medium, low, hot, drying sense. I don't know how to explain it. It's like a,
It's that grippy,
so
sort
you
of
feel that grippy
sandpapery.
sensation, but it's very light here. It's lighter than these tannins,
Yeah.
I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, it is.
Yeah.
It's interesting how you would think that adding more tannin would just automatically cause more grippiness, but it can really work to polish it
Great
out.
slides down
Right
your
down
throat.
your throat.
I think you guys have something going here.
Yeah, like
And
I
if you're
said, great
creating
vintage.
this, Byron, this is not a joke. This is seriously great. This is senior.
Well, yeah, well, we got to get to the finished product later.
Let's go. Okay.
There's love in there, too. There's a lot of love.
Yeah, a lot of love.
love.
Did you work in France at all?
I did. I worked in the Northern Rhone in 2013.
Okay, because there's a
Fabulous.
definite notion of that in the tastes.
Oh, well, thank you.
Really.
French oak.
So here we are in the rotating room, which is close to the end.
It's close to the end. You guys saw the step one of sparkling this morning, and now you're looking at pretty much the last step before we label it and release it. So this is the riddling racks behind us. This is an automated system for collecting the lees again. So it's sparkling wine. the wine goes through a second fermentation in the bottle.
Oh,
And we were talking about that CO2 because it's trapped in the bottle. As that CO2 builds up inside the bottle, it goes into solution and forms the bubbles. But because that fermentation occurs in the bottle, all those yeast cells are still in there. So as we also discussed earlier, that contact time adds to the finesse of the wine. It changes the quality of the palate, the aromas. Over time, you start getting those yeasty, bready, creamy brioche aromas that are so alluring in champagne. But once we've gotten to the point where we feel that the wine has matured enough.
yeah. How the hell do you get the yeast? What do you do?
Right.
Well, traditionally, the wines would be inserted in a rack and manually given a quarter
Racked.
turn. In a rack, exactly. And that process is the riddling, but now it's more commonly automated using the equipment behind me. These are
Turns
filled
it.
up. These rotate as they tilt backwards, and in the course of 7 or 8 days, all of those yeast cells have accumulated into a little plug on the bottom of the bottle here. And so this little plug then is then immersed into a chiller, which freezes it, and then it's turned over. We take off the crown cap, and the pressure shoots out the frozen plug of yeast.
Frozen Plug of Yeast is the name of my new band.
The final choice is deciding the sweetness level of the wine. We can add back a little dosage liqueur. Dosage liqueur is basically just a sweetened liquor that is made of wine and sugar. And the purpose of it is to just add a touch of sweetness to the wine. So you can go anywhere from 0 grams per liter of sugar to 12 to 15. So that's where you're climbing the scale of brut, extra brut,
Yeah.
sec, demi-sec.
Yeah.
Delicate process here.
Delicate process. Beautiful. Amazing. Welcome to dinner party tonight again at the Meadowlark facility of Macari Vineyards, which is very, very beautiful. It's just an incredible venue. So we are here, Jermaine, Byron, and Randy, to cook some stuff that may go beautifully with the rather superior Macari wine. Because Jermaine's here.
Fishmonger of the year. Beautiful fluke, fresh out the water. And you know, Randy's magic.
You're magic too. We have a beautiful fluke. I'm sure we'll have some vegetables with the fish and maybe in a little peach sort of thing. But I don't know, where would we get those?
From where?
From where? With me here is Kate Fullam, who runs East End Food, which is a food hub out here. Explain
That's
what that-
right. Yeah, we're a nonprofit food hub that connects farmers, producers, and everyone who loves food, including you. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
And we are connected in with Dinner Party tonight because we love everyone to enjoy local food.
So local food, meaning that we're talking about arranging farmers markets.
That's right.
Correct? Getting vendors to come to farmers markets, like for instance,
Jermaine, another guest on our show.
who is obviously a fishmonger connected with East End Food.
Absolutely. It's
And-
been great ever since I started. I've met so many people, sold so much fish.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Jermaine's stand is unlike any fish stand you've ever seen in a
beautiful.
farmer's market. It's amazing. Everything it's stunning, actually. But the whole market is beautiful. Today, we're going to make fluke Provençal, which is a fancy word meaning you didn't know what to do, so you bought some olives and tomatoes, okay?
Sounds good to me.
And spinach, okay? So we're also gonna do some grilled baby gem. This is beautiful baby gem lettuce.
These are all from Sangli Farm, another
Sangli.
one of our
Oh,
vendors
really?
at the market.
Love Sangli.
All
I've
organic.
Ooh, I've read a lot about that farm.
Beautiful stuff. There's amazing bok choy, all Asian greens. They even grow ginger, which
Oh,
is
wow.
so delicious.
We have some lovely potatoes. I don't know what kind these are. This looks like a kind of
Little new potatoes.
Little new potato. And this is kind of a, what are these called? Like King George or something? We had these in Quag. I forget what these are.
I'm not sure the exact varietal, but
Well,
usually
they're
they harvest
beautiful.
them young, so they're nice and tender, beautiful
Gorgeous.
for grilling
Yep.
and roasting.
And we may or may not use these today, but these are so gorgeous. I think just wanted to show them off. We have beautiful cherry tomatoes of all different, I say tomatoes, sorry, all different sizes, beauty. We're
Should we try one?
Yes.
You want to take one?
Yes, they're cleaned.
Wow.
Oh, it's like a little apple. Holy cow.
Very
And then we
fun.
have these peaches, which are local peaches. Now, we might grill these and with a little sugar sort of maceration deal, or we might grill them with a savory element and arrange them around the grilled baby gem, which could be lovely with the fish. And we have some beautiful basil. Ah.
Love these.
Oh, it's fantastic. Some spinach and some olives. Would you like an olive?
I would.
Oh, yeah. They're very good.
Thank you.
So I had the pleasure of being able to bring my knife bag, which I very rarely get to use because I'll tell you right now, it is a little pretentious for a cook to bring a knife bag to somebody's house. Sometimes you have to hide it in the car so that they don't know that you didn't trust that they had knives.
It's important.
But
it's like
it's
a
a-
wand.
Yeah.
Like a Harry
It's
Potter
It sure is.
I've hidden it in cars, but I thought what we would do is try some of this very, very good spicy jam together to see if we could use it. These are this all similar, right? Yes.
Yep, those are all the same.
To see if we could use it in anything we're cooking today. Ooh,
So before we hired a chef at East End Food and started turning produce into products, I actually was in the kitchen, and I wouldn't say I'm a chef, but I'm a cook.
I'm a cook too.
And so this is our original recipe, tomato jam. You can use it on sweet, savory, chocolate, cheeses, fish, baby. It's never been done, people, but
Let's hear it.
burgers and chicken.
It's delicious.
everything.
It's not right for this prep, but it's
You can put it on the peaches.
absolutely.
There's ginger in there. There's lime,
Cloves, for
cayenne
sure.
pepper, clove.
Wow.
We've had a lot of fun with this one.
Good with cheese.
Put me to work. I love to be
All right,
in the
Jermaine,
kitchen.
go and get the fluke, which I'm dying to see.
All right.
All right,
You
and I think let's Kate. So we're working in sort of a event kitchen. So we're going to use this to put our prepped food in. Let me
Sounds
give you
good.
a knife.
I would
This is a Parusi from this wonderful man called Dan Maltwood in England who makes these incredible knives, and we have a great relationship with him.
terrific.
So the first thing we're going to do is prep some of these tomatoes to sort of arrange around le poisson, the fish.
Beautiful.
Basically, I think what we should do is that.
Just cut in half?
Yep.
Great.
All right, so we're going to get some nice colors going here. We don't want them all to be red. These are gorgeous.
These are so pretty. I love the heirloom cherry tomatoes, and they all have a slightly different flavor. Mm-hmm. Some of them are even dark chocolate color.
Really?
Almost has a smoky flavor.
We grew a tomato called a zebra tomato, and I had a house in Quag, and we had an amazing garden, and it had a smoky flavor, like the most incredible.
Delicious.
I know
Just
I
a
s-
little flaky sea salt on
I know.
these. That's amazing. Is that enough?
No,
Or
I
do we
think we need a few more.
Okay.
So what is Provençal? Really, honestly, it means it has spinach and olives and tomatoes. Now we're using fresh tomatoes. It really means tomato sauce. So if you
Where
see,
you cook it down
yes,
a bit more.
or
Okay.
if you the fish or the chicken or the whatever is sitting in tomato sauce with olives, and they make it sound fancy, but it's really easy. And we're gonna just bake the fish, this least scary way to make fish.
Now, could you use capers also?
100%.
Okay.
We
That's
didn't
what I
bring
usually,
any.
I always have capers. And
we
I
didn't
love
bring any
using
capers, Kate.
Well, I love olives too. Any salty, briny thing.
Okay. Okay, let's just rough chop this.
Alrighty.
Easy peasy. So you don't really need to do this, but it's just nicer.
You get a little
Yeah.
salty bit in each bite.
Yep.
And then the basil
And then
also?
the basil, you want to pick some basil leaves and we'll throw them. I'm using this as a prep dish, so
And And eventually you'll just mix all of this together.
Yeah, basically.
Great.
We're
Oh,
doing
this
our,
smells amazing.
our mise en place.
We need smell-o-vision.
Yes. Our prep dish looks
More?
lovely.
More basil?
Yes, definitely.
And
And that can,
the baby
yeah,
spinach.
that can just stay here.
Great.
Now I want to cut and taste one of these peaches just to see what we're dealing with. Let's see.
They smell good.
Let's see though. We're getting close to the end of peach season. That's why I'm skeptical.
Oh,
Looks-
they're beautiful.
looks
The
good.
white peach inside there. Let's see.
Not overly sweet, but delicious.
It almost has like a perfumey, like floweriness to it. The white peaches.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not like an orange peach, which is a little more sweet.
Let's see. Are these the same?
Yeah,
oh,
they're
yes.
the same. Beautiful. Okay,
Look at that.
so baby gem lettuce. Okay,
They're so cute.
isn't it cute? For the watchers of MCTP UK, Master Chef the Professionals UK, will know that every year they have a food that's like the in food on the competition. One year it was baby gem. Everything had grilled baby gem.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so this is a no-no. If you go to a restaurant and you see that, it's a bad sign.
You have to take the end off.
You must.
Okay.
So if you see this, it means nobody looked at it, number one, okay? But we want to sort of grill this. We're gonna grill it in the oven, we'll see if it works, but what we wanna do is cut this very slightly
Oh, so that'll stay
because
together.
we wanna keep the intactness, right? These were washed very carefully. And then what I'm gonna do is just that.
Oh, you were talking about earlier at Sangli, they grow the bok choy as well.
Yeah.
That's how I prepare it, just
Yes,
right on the grill or
beautiful.
in the pan.
Exactly how we're gonna, same prep. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna olive oil that, and we're just gonna set it on, here.
Sure.
We're just gonna set it in the oven and see if it works.
Are we doing all of these?
No, I think just these two. I blew that one, but it's okay. All right. Remember, it doesn't really matter. Look how beautiful that is. So this has more vitamins in it, the dark part. It's not wilted, it's the color. But it's, look at that, so pretty. What's missing? Are we gonna make something good? Or is it a fluke?
Either way, it's a fluke.
Oh my, look at this.
Beautiful jumbo fluke, fresh out of the water this morning. I
That's
like
incredible.
to bleed my fish and like put them on ice right away, and it's just a different taste. That blood is out of there, and
So
it's just clean.
fish have blood.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Now you may go back to our first episode with Jermaine where we cut fish and they really do have blood. And it's also important to realize that this is a creature. And because it's a creature, it means that you must treat it with respect. The worst thing you can do is take something's life and then destroy it in the kitchen. Am I right?
It's terrible.
Okay.
I think we're going to do it justice.
I know.
Yeah.
So Jermaine, for instance, told me he felt bad killing the fish. But he responds to that, and so do we all, by cooking it with love and respect.
Absolutely.
Okay? Let's take a look at these two pieces. These are huge.
Beautiful pieces.
Wait, should I get us some wine?
That's a great.
Wait, wine? Does wine go with everything on planet Earth? I think so. Byron! Byron!
Did somebody say wine?
Yes! Oh my goodness!
All right, well, here we go.
What do we have? Put down one glass at least for crying
Can you
out
help
loud.
me out
Yes.
here?
Yes.
Just one. We're going to set it up on the other table there. All right. Maybe we can set that there, and I'll just do a little tasty poo before we start. Now, we have two beautiful whites that we're going to try. One is
We have a 21 Chardonnay, which is barrel fermented, and we have a 22 wild ferment Sauvignon Blanc, which was done in tank.
now, wild ferment usually makes me go, ugh, like that because it's sometimes problematic. This one is sickeningly great. These are the wines that I was sent to try.
Yeah.
Perhaps I could just try a little bit of that Sauvignon Blanc. I am, Randy, thank you. A little bit of a wino. I mean,
and
wine
only.
enthusiast. What'd you say?
The one and only Randy.
That's right. So this is the Sauvignon Blanc, wild ferment. It means they didn't put yeast in it.
Yeah, basically like we were talking about earlier, this came straight from the press, was settled at once, racked, and then temperature control. We just keep our eyes on it very carefully because when you're doing a wild ferment, you can't use
Yes.
any of the preservatives that you would typically use because the wild yeast, they're more sensitive.
Wow.
So just keep
I'm not sick.
keep
It's
a close eye on it. Make
Yeah.
sure it's not going into that weird zone that
Yes.
you were talking about. Because if it starts to do that, that's not what we're trying to do either.
delicious.
And it's cold.
Yes, the weird zone.
And
I
then
like that.
once we feel like it's taking off and it's got a healthy fermentation going, we just let it do its thing. Hope that it goes dry and cross the finish line. And that's
I
what
don't know,
this
man.
wine did.
I think
So
you
delicious.
really,
Really good.
got something with this one.
No, we're
It's-
really pleased with it. Yeah.
So this, in my opinion, is perfect with this preparation because we're making a slightly robust preparation. It's present.
You just trying to make everybody else thirsty, or can I pour everybody
You
else
can pour
glass
everybody
in?
a glass, but we are going to continue as we go. Okay. Now, I'm inclined to leave these intact, as they say. I think they're beautiful. So what we're going to do is we're just going to
Thank you.
maybe trim that, Jermaine.
It was trend, my dear. That's the best part. I make
Okay.
tacos. I make tacos out of these little ribbons.
Oh, good idea.
The one thing that I would say, which we've always said, the noise that you hear is Byron's and Miranda's beautiful little child that I might squeeze too hard later because, all right, my friends. So one of the rules we have at DPT, which is a good rule to follow, is never take the fish out of the paper when your guests are present because there might be a problem with it. And you don't want them to see you cutting a bloodline or picking bones out. So it's very important to take it out, have another wrapper if it's a long way before they come, right? And just check it.
So you're checking for bones?
I'm also communing with it.
Sure.
Like I'm looking at it. Oh, this is, okay, how thick is it? I'm taking it. It's beautiful. This is lovely.
Then you'll know how long to cook
Yeah.
it.
Lovely.
I mean, for the guests watching, should I bone it real quick, a real easy way?
You should bone it, but do you want to use the knife you liked?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is
All
a
right.
very fancy knife I received
gorgeous.
as a gift.
right.
Okay, so what he's doing is there's a little bit of a bone here. I would pull these, but because we have an expert fish cutter, fish master,
Expert fishmonger.
or as we say,
Monger.
fish
That's
mister.
right.
You're a fish mister.
Mr. Whisper,
Yeah,
whatever.
We're going to debone it. So he's going to show us. Jermaine is going to show us that
How
process.
to debone. So there's two ways that we can do this. I'm going to do it like the easy way. We got the fillet here. I call this a quick V cut. Down the side of each bone. And that bone ends right there. Right? That's one way you could do it. Or
That's how I would do it, probably.
I make two pieces.
So you just make two fillets
Two
instead.
fillets. The bone is on this side. You can see it. And we're just going to take that out. You got a little rib cage right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to do this, then you can rewrap it. Frankly, you should, because if it's going to sit in your fridge, it could possibly have liquid. And
Sure.
So rewrapping it's not crazy. But anyway, these are pristinely gorgeous. Oh, I just...
See? See that?
I don't know why I did that.
It's still beautiful.
beautiful.
It's still beautiful. I'm
gorgeous.
sorry, guys. Okay, so we have 4 pieces. All right, so what we're going to do is simply, I'm going to use this again. We're just going to put these in, and we're going to have to use, our hands are going to get nasty. Okay. It would be easier with sort of another kind of wine if I had to taste some other wine.
Something might.
Well, most certainly.
Be available.
Again, because we're also tasting a 2021 Chardonnay.
So Chardonnay's got a bad name. Now let's talk about it. Come forward for a second.
Yes, come
So
in.
Chardonnay has a bad name because people think it's too oaky, it's too buttery, it's too, well, some are. And it depends how they're made. Some aren't.
Exactly. And Chardonnay is often made in a heavy-handed style, and our goal here
Clunky.
was to keep with a bright, fresh version.
Chablis-ish.
Chablisienne, if you
Yes.
will. Lower alcohol, great acidity. We still wanted some of that creaminess from the barrel ferment and from the aging on the lees, but just enough to round it out and still make it kind of a lean, racy wine.
So I'm a Chablis girl, and I loved this. And I'm also a Christmas freak, and we serve oysters before Christmas dinner.
Oops,
and I thought this would be fabulous. Right?
Absolutely.
Now, how do you make sure that it doesn't have that oakiness to it?
We do a judicious blend of new oak, used oak, stainless steel drums, and then we do pretty extensive trials, blend trials, to make sure that we get everything kind
But
of
it does
balanced
go
right
into
where we want
oak.
it.
But am I wrong that a Chablis is a Chardonnay?
It is.
Yeah, okay.
So this is an interesting fact I learned about Chablis and why Chablis historically has less
great.
oak influence. Apparently, ages ago, when Chablis was sold, it was sent down the river, and then the barrels were returned to the wine producers, where in Burgundy, the barrels were never returned for some reason. I don't know if it was a contractual agreement, but because of that, in Burgundy, they were using new barrels every
That's
year.
fascinating.
Whereas in Chablis, they were reusing
Holy
them.
cow. All right. Wow, that's amazing. And what's the nickname for Chablis? All dinner partiers know is Jus de Pierre, which means juice of the rock, because it has a flintiness, which frankly this has.
So we're shooting for
really
it.
nice.
Okay. Now this is crowded, but that's also a dinner party tonight tradition. I'm just going to olive oil this, okay?
The more the merrier.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then
Yes,
you
ma'am.
could liberally sprinkle salt. Now I have here pink peppercorns, very fancy. I have some togarashi, and this is my my pepper.
This salt is beautiful.
Isn't it?
Do
It's
you like a
Malden.
particular kind?
It's Malden salt.
Malden,
It's
yeah.
my favorite. All right, let's pepper this.
A friend of mine keeps a tin of Malden in her purse to finish her meals.
I bet you got it on a plane because I got a tin of it on a plane.
It's so delicious. I have
It's
it at
the
home
best.
too.
I like it because it's not too salty, and in cookies and cakes, it's absolutely amazing. I'm going to use my hands just because I already messed them up.
Oh, do you want more salt on the other side?
Yeah, we're going to salt and pepper the other side.
It already
Okay.
looks delicious.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's so great.
Well, honestly, fish fear people, or fish for people. Wait, fish fear people. No, wait. All right.
Sounds right.
Anyways, go ahead.
correct.
Fish fear people. Baking is the way to go until you feel confident. You honestly can't mess it up. Even if you overcook it, it's still going to be totally fine.
Especially when it's this fresh.
Now for
Looks amazing.
the problem is I have to put a little spinach underneath it. So what we're doing is we're basically making sort of a kind of a sauce that goes with the fish, which is spinach. Not too much spinach, because spinach does what? It weeps. I'll lift the pieces and you sprinkle the pieces in. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, that's great. Okay. Beautiful. Olives here.
Okay.
Now this is just the beginning. This is not the real olives. Just a few olives here.
So this just flavors
Yeah,
the
this is
spinach?
just a little bit, yeah. And then here. So I forgot. Big deal. Don't be scared. You forgot. Just do it. And you know what we always say? If they don't like it, you can throw it in the garbage. If you don't like it, throw it in the garbage and get Chinese food. Nobody cares. They just want to come to your house. People don't care. They just want to see you.
That's right.
Okay, they just want to see you. If you cut these beautiful tomatoes, a little bit of salt, and toasted some bread with some like feta or beautiful cheese, they don't care. But we're making something a little more special. Okay.
But that being said,
Yes, love.
don't serve them bad wine.
Well, invite Byron, really.
Cheers.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Look at me or it's bad luck. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, this is almost ready to go in the oven. So now it's a little more fun.
Okay.
Put those
I'm gonna
down
put a
first.
little bit down like this. Look how pretty this is.
We have our basil
Yeah, good. Oh yeah.
under.
So I'm using also basil, which is a friend of the mint family. It's beautiful. This should have gone underneath as well, but oh well.
Well, lift it up. We can fit it.
Yeah. Okay. And this is gonna fragrant?
Fragrance?
No, this is going to
Aromatize.
Aromatize.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right, let's get some more basil. Here we go. Okay. Little
So fun.
pieces on there. Yeah.
Well, and you know what's really fun that I love that you're doing
Yes.
is including people in the cooking process.
Absolutely.
Right? Because people
Got to.
come and they're not sure, what do I do with my hands? Do I get a drink, And
Well,
to
Kate,
loosen
you know what you
people
tell
up,
them?
I love
Yeah.
it. Just
You know what you tell them to do?
let's
Is
cook something.
take the thyme flowers off. That's the thing I ask
Oh, yes.
anybody who's like, can I help? And I'm like, yeah, take the flowers off all that time. Because it's like the worst job ever, right?
but there's no time in the dish. You're going to use it later in the
They're
week.
so excited. Okay, now I'm going to put a little fancy seasoning, which is just pink peppercorns.
Oh, nice.
And in tradition of dinner party tonight, I will say that it's not really pepper. It's a dried fruit, which it is. It just gives a beautiful color.
Oh, that's so pretty.
And this will
Very pretty.
soften in the oven. Now, let's see. Tomatoes. Here we go. I don't want to put tomatoes underneath. Okay, so let's try and get these all around. Anybody who's got a hand, sort of like in a Christmassy way.
Christmas.
Now, when you put the tomatoes
Yes.
on the top,
Tomatoes.
when they go in the oven, do you want them to get
They're
a little
gonna
bit of caramelization?
No,
Is that why
they're
you put it
gonna.
on the
Well,
top?
we'll see how hot the oven is. We want them to make juice and
Oh, okay.
relax. Okay. Look how this is quite dramatically beautiful, isn't it?
Really nice.
Beautiful.
Now I'm going to do a sacrilegious thing, which I don't need to do because we have so much liquid producing stuff here.
Wow, look at that.
Okay. I'm going to put a little salt on just on the tomatoes. And I would put this in listen, man, you can put it in 350. It'll bake slow, like a cake. I would put it at 400, 380, 400. Keep an eye on it. If you're scared, pick a piece that you can mess up. And then you can pull it and see if it's done so you don't mess up everybody's piece. But you don't need that. You're a dinner partier. I'm just liberally salting the
Tomatoes.
tomatoes. Listen, it's not an affect. I really was brought up speaking that way.
And then these will be
Those are
for
going to
later.
be dressed, which we're going to dress right now, and then we're going to proceed to the oven. This is ready to go in the oven. I'm just going to move it over
okay.
here. Yep.
Oh.
Look at your fluke. Now this is super simple. Really, really simple. We're just going to go like this. Okay?
Can't do that.
Who can't do that? And frankly,
Squeezy bottle is your friend.
yeah. And frankly, if you wanted to serve this just like this, you could. But I would suggest putting the salt on it a little bit before if you're going to serve it raw, before your fish is ready, because the salt will kind of cook the lettuce a little bit, kind of like ceviche.
Nice.
Little bit of pepper today, and
There it is.
a little bit of togarashi, which is a classic Japanese seasoning of here. Yeah, it's like black sesame seeds, chili. It's a little bit hot.
Orange peel.
Orange peel?
I think so.
Yeah.
Really
I love it. It's great for pickle plates because it gives color.
beautiful.
It's slightly red, and it's very good for things that are slightly watery, like lettuce, because it gives them an interesting flavor.
Wow, that's yummy.
Okay, so in a 380, 400 oven, that fish is going to take, I don't know, certainly not 30 minutes. Okay, and if you're scared, first of all, don't be scared, right, everybody? And secondly, pick a piece that you can pull with a fork. And the minute it flakes like a book, like a piece of a book opening, it's ready. Even if it's still slightly see-through, if it pulls in a square, take it out. Okay? So,
Will it keep cooking when you
yes,
bring it out?
but it's okay. It's supposed to be gooey and yummy and soft and lovely. And you could serve it with just crusty bread or
Oh, 'cause liquid and
yeah, so
everything
it's
in
going to be make sort of like a sauce. You kind of can't mess this up. I guess you could burn it if you left it in there for 3 hours. You could burn it. Let's take it to the stage. Here we go. Come
Don't
on,
forget
everybody.
the wine, Byron.
Oh, yeah.
Got mine. Go ahead, lovely.
today we made a beautiful fluke caught this morning by JERMAINE Owens. We made it Provençal with beautiful cherry tomatoes, olives, basil, spinach, and then we grilled up some baby gem lettuce and some peaches with salt and togarashi. And we paired it with an incredible Macari Chardonnay, crisp, very Chablis-esque, and a lovely Sauvignon Blanc, natural fermentation. What a pairing, what a day. We just want to thank you guys so much for watching Dinner Party tonight, for subscribing, for writing us comments, and for joining us today here on the North Fork, not the South Fork, the North Fork. We want to say such a huge thank you to Macari Vineyards, OMG, North Fork Seafood, the East End Food Institute, and all the wonderful people we met. Byron, JERMAINE we already knew, but he's still wonderful. Kate and Miranda, Lauren Conklin, and everyone in the Macari family. Thank you so much for including us on Harvest Day. Well, what a spot, guys. What a spot.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
lovely.
So relaxing.
Beautiful.
And what a day we had at Macari. I was saying Macari, but it's Macari. It's an Italian name, correct? They're Italian?
Yes.
Their style of wine is not particularly Italian. Do you agree?
It's interesting. One of the things I feel like I've noticed in a couple wines, we didn't taste a lot of reds, but in some of our reds, I feel like we have the tannins actually have a slightly more Italian feel
Flavor.
to them. But other than that, yeah, the fruit profile I
Yeah.
think is not as much Italian.
And
we
you're
work
bringing
with,
amazing things to this brand. I mean, I worked there in the tasting room in 2009 and 10, and it's going
Yeah, it is.
skyrocketed up. I
Please.
mean, it was always the best.
I'm not just
I think,
saying
but
this. Please come out here, guys. This facility is more of the meet and greet facility, right? Is that
beautiful,
correct?
Yeah.
yeah, this is more kind of a wine bar vibe by the glass as opposed
Okay.
to the more formal tasting setup that we feature at
And-
Madison.
okay.
And you're doing some events.
Yeah, a lot of events in this space. I mean, Friday nights we've been doing pizza. I have a pizza oven brought in, and you can tell that there is just such a thirst for this kind of space in this area. You come out and the place is
Yeah.
packed
to
with
that.
families.
Nice.
It's great. It's awesome.
I would say I would definitely come back. I had the best day. We made some beautiful fluke from JERMAINE, my favorite fishmonger.
Oh my God, my heart.
From Corjay
So
to all the
fast.
way.
That's right.
That's JERMAINE. I really think you're the best fishmonger.
I think so too.
Byron, to Lauren, to Miranda, Kate, everybody that we met, we had a fantastic day at Macari. Let's raise a glass. Don't clink or we all have to clink. To Macari, to everybody we met today, and to a long life, healthy life. Here's to us, who's like us, damn few, and they're all dead. Right, Maud?
Maud agrees.
Well, these little babies
Just,
are
just
so
to put
cute.
in a parenthesis, my dog sitting fell through, and the dogs came on the chute, and I was so nervous they were going to be a pain in the ass. They were
They
amazing.
did great.
They
They
did
should come
great.
every time. It's
And
a
when I
good
went to fetch them after we
thing.
finished cooking, they were sound asleep in the holding room.